What's going on YouTube? So Infiniti made a big splash this year by unveiling the next generation of their flagship luxury SUV, the QX80. And now it's time for us to put this QX80 to the test and live with this flagship for a full week. So should you consider this over the quickly escalating list of rivals? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, of course, the important place to start off with is under the hood with our spec dump. Big changes this year, so we don't have a V8 anymore. We now have a 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. It makes a lot more power than the previous model at 450 horsepower. That's going to be paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. You have available 4-wheel drive, and with that option, you will get 17 miles per gallon combined.
Now, of course, we can't wait to show you what this new powertrain is like out on the road. While we're on that drive, we'll also be getting things like our official Kentucky sound level reading to see how quiet this flagship is. We'll also discuss resale and reliability after that.
But it's time to go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the bold exterior design as well as all the extreme luxury on the inside. Now, like I was saying, a big thing when it comes to flagship luxury SUVs is about having an imposing design, and this new QX80 certainly delivers. It has a very large and bold front end, and it's inspired by their latest concept vehicles. So, talking about the grille itself, you are going to notice, again, it is quite large. There's a couple different finishes you can get on this. Most of the trims will have a little bit more chrome on them, but the Autograph, when you get that top spec, that's going to give you the dark finish for, again, even a more aggressive appearance. Now, in terms of our lighting, that is, of course, fully modernized and new. Up at the top, we have a daytime running light and turn signal indicator. This does animate as well when you enter and exit the vehicle. The actual headlights themselves are going to be down here below. So this is, of course, a standard full LED design for both high and low beams with projectors. And then as we drop down to the lower area, I do want to mention that you can get up to 10 inches of ground clearance from this new generation because this has Infiniti's first air suspension. We'll talk more about how that impacts the ride quality later on during the test drive. And then walking around to the back, you'll notice that it has a nice boxy appearance.
Yeah, and it is fully modernized because this, of course, is an all-new product. Now, as far as some of the design elements, we have a hidden wiper. We also have like this piece that goes all the way flowing through into the side. And let's check out our taillights because that's really the main element of this rear design. As you can see, we do have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and amber LED turn signal indicator. You expect that out of a flagship, and all of the elements will be LED. We also have our big prominent Infiniti branding. And then as we drop down to the lower fascia, no exposed exhaust outlets. You do have one, though, here on the right side. The tow rating is worth mentioning, though, because it comes in at 8,500 pounds, which is better than the Escalade and BMW X7.
Now moving on to the wheels, all but the base trim level of this will come standard with 22-inch alloy wheels. As you can see here on the Autograph, we've got a dark finish to these contrast alloy wheels that matches with what you get in the grille. Just be aware that some of the rivals now are getting ready to introduce 24-inch options, and that's not going to be offered with this QX80 for now. And I also apologize, there's a little bit of salt on the vehicle itself. Of course, it is winter and it has been snowing. Now, in terms of our mirrors here, you can see we've got the gloss black finish with our LED turn signal indicator. These come fully loaded as well as standard equipment. So that means you have auto dimming, you have power folding, you have heating and blind spot monitoring. Plus, if you get the sensory trim or the Autograph, you add auto dimming to the passenger mirror as well.
Now, here at the side of the QX80, you're of course going to notice this is a big SUV. If you haven't already noticed that, we look very small next to this. We are normal-sized adults, and this is just a really big SUV. 211 inches to be exact is how long it is. There is not an extended wheelbase version, so do be aware of that. And as far as some of the design elements, you'll notice that here on the Autograph, you have special branding here in this pillar. And then you can also get a two-tone roof option. As you can see, we've opted for the black roof. You can also get a silver roof, which makes for a really unique look. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, Infiniti is including all of those as standard equipment, as you would expect. That's going to include things like ProPilot 1.1. Now, additionally, if you choose the Autograph like this one, that will throw in things like ProPilot 2.1, which is supposed to allow for some hands-free highway driving, although we have had some issues with that working this week on our loan. But guys, there is a lovely interior that we can't wait to show you, so let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
And now let's move on to the inside. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. Of course, you do have a standard smart entry system on board. This is a flagship luxury product, so it is all about the details. And one detail I want to point out is that the key fob is kind of plasticky. Definitely not quite as nice as some of the competition. Now, as we walk up to the vehicle itself, you'll notice that the door handles will sense your approach and they'll go ahead and pop out. And you can just reach behind them and that will go ahead and unlock the door. Now, two features I want to point out before we look into the interior that this is missing compared to a lot of the competition. It does not have soft closed doors. It also does not have power deploying running boards. So you just have that fixed option even on this top Autograph model. But now let's look inside this interior. You're going to notice it's really a beautifully finished area. Night and day difference over the previous generation as well in terms of technology. Before we get into all those details, let's first start by talking about our seats and color options. So your base trim level, that will come standard with leatherette. Moving to the luxe gets you real leather. And then the other two trims at the top will come with semi-aniline leather. Now, since this is the Autograph though, we've got exclusive stitching and quilting. We also have an exclusive color. So what we have right here is a burgundy option. It is a beautiful two-tone with black on the outside edges. Absolutely gorgeous. The quality of this leather is superb. You have the Autograph branding up through there. And overall, like I said, these are just very comfortable and very beautifully finished seats. You will always have at least 10 ways of power adjustment with 4-way lumbar support. However, the top two trims additionally add power adjusting bolsters, and we also have massage, which works for the back only. Over here on the door trim, you have your memory seats, and let's go ahead and climb inside so that we can get into all the other details of the cabin. Now, as far as the interior materials are concerned, let's get started over here with the door trim. So you'll notice, of course, you've got leather really from head to toe here, nice flowing design through here. We also have this exclusive ash wood for the Autograph trim. It's really beautiful with the metal inlays inside of it. The upper dash is also finished in leather. You've got more of the burgundy leather that flows through the center section as well as more of this wood with the varying texture. Really nice stuff. And then you also have leather through the center console here. Even a lot of our lower plastics, including on the door trim, are padded even at the very bottom. Let's go ahead and fire it up with the standard push button start. And now that it's all fired up, really the first thing you might have noticed was that big animation that went across this large dual 14.3-inch display setup. So let's start off by just talking about the gauge cluster as always. Again, 14.3 inches. It is customizable so that you can click things like that. You can go in here and change between a few different designs. That's kind of a more modern one, and this is a little bit more elegant looking, as they say. Also, what I want to point out is that almost every single version will come standard with that head-up display. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a unique design. This is a two-spoke look on board. Standard power tilt and telescoping, standard heating as well, and you have standard rain-sensing wipers. This steering wheel, though, in the Autograph is covered in some of the most supple leather I have ever felt. It's absolutely beautiful. I do wish the heating was a little warmer, though. It's not quite as hot as I would like it, but otherwise just a gorgeous steering wheel overall. Now, let's turn over here and talk about interior storage. So this is a big SUV. We want to see quite a lot. And when I open up our center console, this actually has a cool box. So you can use this for some refrigeration of drinks It's still really large despite the fact that it's a cool box though. And you'll notice that we've got the donuts inside, of course, because we like to measure the volume here at Car Confections. There are 17 donuts inside of this cool box right now, and these are chilled donuts, so they're not gonna melt. Really nice stuff. Up in front of that, you have a little bit of storage in here. This is a wireless phone charging pad, and you have a couple USB connections on board. Your cup holders are over here on this side. One usability thing I want to point out is just the fact that this cover is very easy to accidentally open when you hit it with your elbow. And this area here is also not padded hardly any at all. It's very firm for your arm to rest against. But going back to interior storage, you also have a large pass-through where you can stick a lot of other objects as well. This is all made possible by the fact that we've moved to this very compact electronic button. So just press the D for drive. You do also have paddle shifters on the steering wheel as well if you want to shift manually. And then press the R to go into reverse. Now, when you go into reverse, we've got a 360-degree camera system on board. It does have active trajectory as well as the overhead view. There's a couple fun things that this can do as well. So first of all, you can go into a 3D view and spin all around the vehicle with pretty high-end graphics and all those different camera angles right over there. The other thing you can do is press this button. This is going to pull up a front-facing camera, and then this will pull up the front-facing camera. Then when I press that button right there, that actually blows it up across both of these big displays to really give you that full view, which Infiniti actually says is a kind of a safety thing as well as just being technologically impressive because it can actually help you see some of the blind spots over top of this really large hood. Now, as we return back over here to this area, you'll notice that we've got our climate controls built into a touchscreen. So what you can do is just very quickly make your adjustments through this touch capacitive style controls. Actually, when you push the buttons, you'll notice the screen itself does wiggle. It's kind of giving you the feedback like you're touching a conventional button. Obviously, you are going to have 3-stage heated seats as well as 3-stage ventilated seats, and you can also adjust your climate in the back as well from here. One thing I do want to highlight is just the fact that you can see this does collect a lot of fingerprints. Also, you might have noticed that we have this little button there, emblem that says BioCool. That stands for the new biometric cooling system that this has. It actually uses a sensor to monitor your body heat and adjust the climate automatically to match what internal temperature that you actually want. As far as the real life usability, I haven't really noticed anything different about it. That doesn't mean it's not working or anything, but just that through this week, we haven't really noticed that any difference. Now, not all the controls are touch sensitive. You do have a nice physical control for the audio systems. So I'm happy to say that you do have standard Klipsch audio on all of the models. However, we have the upgraded 24-speaker reference system on this Autograph, and let's give this a sample right now. Very nice. Yeah, this is a great sounding sound system. It really fills up the cabin nicely. I don't know if it's quite as good as the Escalades, but it is really up there in terms of audio systems we've sampled. Also, you saw Mason highlight another feature of this, which is having speakers actually in the headrest themselves. And in addition to getting the music actually closer to your head, it does actually isolate out phone calls. So if you're getting a phone call, you can answer that and you'll hear it from this speaker while the rest of your passengers aren't disturbed with that. We did sample that out and it did largely work with Mason not being able to hear what was being said over here. Now, let's zero in on the main part of the infotainment system. Again, this is also a 14.3-inch display. This has Infiniti's newest infotainment software. It's a nice and responsive system overall. We haven't had really any issues with it. As you can see, it has kind of cool animations. You can also change the overall design aesthetic of this system. You have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both of which worked very nicely this week as well. And you already saw that it has built-in Google Apps. So this is actually built natively into the system itself, having the Google Apps as well as Google Assistant. Up top, we've got an auto dimming mirror with home link remote. This is a digital camera rear view mirror as well. The Autograph has the beautiful Alcantara finish up here on the headliner. And then obviously you do have a standard panoramic sunroof as well.
All right, so let's go ahead and check out this second row. Now, there's a lot to talk about back here, so bear with me. It is going to be a lot. Now, I do want to just mention space figures first and foremost. Infiniti says 37.6 inches of legroom and about 36 inches of headroom, although I think they're kind of gypping themselves a little bit because it feels like more space back here. With this second row slid all the way back, I'm looking at about 11 inches of extra knee room, which is incredibly impressive. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, and you may have noticed that I wasn't the one sliding, and that's because over there on the side, you'll notice that we have power adjusting second row seats. That's a really bougie feature that's actually going to be standard on all but the base model of the QX80 is the power slide and power recline. So you can really get super comfortable back here just like you would in the front seat. Now, as far as features that are exclusive to the Autograph, you will notice that this screen setup is exclusive to the Autograph. So we actually have our own screen back here that will allow us to adjust things like our lumbar support, which is exclusive to this trim level. Additionally, it will allow us to turn on our seat massage, which is included for all 4 seats here on this model. So both the driver and passenger and both rear occupants have seat massage. That's really fancy. We also have a big, large storage cubby in here with 2 USB-C ports, 2 cup holders in front of that, and then down here in this area, there is quite a lot of storage space as well. Now, as far as other controls, you can adjust the climate and all that through the screen, but we do have physical controls for it as well. Heated and ventilated rear seats are also standard on all but that very base model. We have 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt outlet, although I am noticing there's not a household outlet. Now, if you look over at the door trim, you're going to find a nicely done one. The only feature that I see that's missing is no power sunshades, so keep that in mind. But it's really nicely done material-wise, and we also have a ton of storage as well. And now let's go ahead and check out the third row in this QX80. They have made it quite easy to get back here. There's a button located on the seat back, and that's going to, in one press, allow the entire seat to tilt and slide out of the way. Fully power, because of course it's a power seat after all, and because the back doesn't move, you shouldn't have to remove a child seat either, so that's really quite nice. Now let's go ahead and get back here in the third row, because the third row is definitely going to be a vast improvement over the previous generation, that is for sure. We're sitting at about 33 inches of legroom, about 36 inches of headroom, so for someone who's 5'9" like myself, really plenty of room back here. Also, the thing that you'll notice is that the thigh support is fantastic as well, so even for a full-size adult like myself, the thigh support is good. Additionally, I do want to point out you kind of have captain's style seating, so you're sitting up a little taller than the second row so you can have a good view into what's in front of you. Additionally, off to the side of that, you may be able to see it right now, we have heated third row seats. That's an Autograph exclusive feature to have a heated third row. You also have the ability to power recline your seats to give yourself a little bit more comfortable. So this is a lot of nice features. We also have USB ports. As far as how it rates on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for adults. Walking up to the tailgate, we of course have a standard power hands-free one. And as far as space is concerned, I'm sure you're curious about this area. We're going to be sitting at about 22 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats if we fold those seats down, which you can easily do by just locating this button over here on the side. One press will power fold your third row. That gives you 59 cubic feet behind the second row. And then if we fold the second row down, which is also done with a simple press, since it is fully power, 101 cubic feet is what you're looking at. So yes, that is less than what you'd find in an equivalent Escalade, but it's going to be a good improvement over what you got before, and it's also just a good amount of space. I venture to say a lot of families don't need more than 100 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Now, it's a Car Confections review after all, so let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So from behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we're looking at 88 inches of length, which is really nice. Second row, 49 inches of length. From behind the third row, expect about 17 inches. As far as overall width, that's very impressive, 50 inches wide. And overall height, going to be fair and get around that. About 33 inches tall, really practical. The only thing I'll point out is this bumper is kind of big, so getting things in might be a little difficult. Now, if we lift up the floor, you will find a tiny bit of underfloor storage if it doesn't fit, and you do have a spare tire integrated underneath of the bumper. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Infiniti QX80. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading. This will be an official sound level reading because we're back home in Kentucky, but let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that's 60 miles per hour.
Nice.
Nice and quick here with the new QX80. So like we mentioned at the spec dump, that really is kind of one of the big stories about this new QX80 is that previous venerable 5.6 liter V8 is gone now. We have a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged 6-cylinder in its place. Now, like I also mentioned at the spec dump, power is up a lot, even if cylinders are down. So we have 450 horsepower now, over 500 pound-feet of torque as well. So that's a gain of 50 horsepower and more than 100 pound-feet of torque over the previous generation. And you can certainly feel that when you accelerate.
Yeah, it's funny because we did a previous generation on these exact same roads. We lived with it for a week as well, and you can definitely feel a huge difference. I know a lot of you guys might be a little sad that the V8 is gone. I'm also a little sad. I like, the classic feel of a V8, but in this switch, it's not just for emissions or whatever. It does actually give you a lot more power, a lot more torque, and it's noticeable. So I think this is not a bad switch at all.
Right, and I might add that this is more power than what you get out of the V8 that's in the Escalade, for example. It's really quick. I'd also add that it's got a unique sound to it as well.
Oh yeah, sounds like a Nissan Z.
Yes, it does.
Close your eyes and ignore a little bit of the body roll, and you might think you're in that.
Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got a 9-speed automatic transmission on board. This is a nice and smooth transmission. It's been a good partner to this engine. It certainly seems to keep it in the power band, and shift very smoothly during all different kinds of circumstances we've come across this week.
All right, so we're turning on to a highway portion where we can discuss important things like ride quality. Now, this review, of course, is a 7-day review, which means that we lived with this vehicle for the full week, and certainly I have been nothing but impressed. Now, I was actually the one that flew out to California and did a video on this originally, and on those roads I was thinking that the ride quality was really good, but having it here for a week in Kentucky really proves that this new ride quality is very impressive. Part of the reason why it's so impressive is because we have an air suspension. This is an Infiniti first feature, and it's going to be standard on all but the very base model, so you don't have to choose this top-end autograph to get the air suspension. It's actually on the vast majority of QX80s, and I'm so happy to tell you that because overall ride is phenomenal. I have no issues with it at all. Drew and I were talking about this, but we think it's just maybe a hair less good than the Escalade, but it's very close, and that tells you a lot.
Yeah, it is so close, and that is, the best riding in the luxury full-size space. The Navigator doesn't offer an air ride, for example, so I think that this really just elevates this product to a new level the previous generation could never even get close to in terms of the ride quality.
All right, we're speeding up to 55 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and toggle it to fan speed 1 up here in the front. The rear climate is off. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get our official sound level reading. Dig it out here. Nice long sample there, 56.1 decibels is what we are sitting at in this all-new Infiniti QX80. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition, though, because we can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we posted all of the cars that we review on this channel. Now, Infiniti bragged that this new generation of the QX80 could be up to 4 decibels quieter, and that they've really focused on making a quiet cabin. That's not particularly showing up in our results with our sound level reading here, because the previous generation tested at 55, so it's setting kind of a similar figure for this all-new one. Of course, certain variables, do affect that. It's a really cold winter day out here. It could be this particular unit as well, so do keep that in mind, but I would expect to have a decently quiet cabin, but it's not going to be a class leader like a BMW X7.
All right, so we're on a country back road, and I'm going to do something now that probably very few people that own a QX80 are going to do, and that is toggle on the sport mode and go around this corner. So I didn't just do that just for the heck of it. What I did it for was to demonstrate the dynamic digital suspension on board with this QX80, because I was very, very impressed getting behind the wheel of this at the body control on this next generation model. What they have really done here is quite remarkable in terms of the control of the body roll. This is obviously a very big, heavy luxury SUV. And a lot of times in this segment, you can find that when you get on a back road, it feels a little unstable just because the body is kind of wallowing around corners. This model here really is able to kind of counteract the body roll and keep the body a lot more flat than a lot of the competition. That makes it feel, dare I say, I'm going to use this kind of in quotes here, sporty for a flagship luxury SUV. Yeah, a little bit sporty actually, than the way that it can be, than the way that it handles around the corners. So overall, really happy with that. And it just kind of makes this feel on a day-to-day as well like you're driving a smaller SUV than you actually are.
Now let's get into our slam dunk and airball. After 7 days, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, do you want to just go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk?
Yeah, I'm going to say the slam dunk is just the overall drive and ride experience. I really felt kind of surprised by this. I didn't get to have the initial drive that Mason did, so when I got behind the wheel at the beginning of this week, I was like, wow. It just really impressed me overall with the way that just everything kind of just worked together to give you that seamless luxury experience, and just felt so refined, so quiet, so good at ride quality. It was just really overall impressive.
Yeah, on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is a kind of a collection of different things that just kind of bothered us. There's not really a glaring issue with this vehicle, but first of all, this being as hard as a rock and opening almost every time you brush by it is a problem. The key fob is a little cheap, especially for a flagship SUV. Additionally, just a couple other things that it's missing, power running boards and the soft close door. Is really at this price point, it should have both of those features. So just kind of a miniature collection of items. If any of those matter to you, you might want to look elsewhere. And as far as last things worth mentioning, let's talk about fuel economy. So this vehicle is available in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. The 2-wheel drive comes in at 18 miles per gallon combined. The 4-wheel drive comes in at 17 mpg. Keep in mind, 4-wheel drive is standard on Sensory and Autograph models. As far as our real-world fuel economy, we have driven it about 100 miles at this point, and we have experienced pretty low fuel economy. So because of that, we're going to wait to drive it a few additional trips and get that full fuel economy figure for you, so we can be providing you the real world, full tank of gas type of fuel economy with this QX80, but I would expect not to get good fuel economy.
Yeah, the EPA is rating it not a lot better than the previous V8, which is interesting, but you do have, again, a lot more power.
And lastly, when it comes to your warranty, we do have a 4-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty. Powertrain is going to be 6-year, 70,000 miles, and you're also going to get 3 years of complimentary maintenance. So that's a very good warranty for a luxury vehicle. And now let's discuss pricing. So we're going to start at a little over $80,000 for the pure model, 82,450. As you move up the trim structure, we go to about 90, then 100, and then 110. It goes up about 10,000 each trim level. This autograph starts at $110,000, and if you want one with all the options like what we've done on this model, it's about $112,000, $113,000. Now, if you're looking to buy an Infiniti QX80 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this QX80's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 41.2% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 17.1%. Now, it's worth noting that's definitely going to be below industry average, but it is on par with a lot of the German luxury manufacturers such as BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. Not as good as Lexus or Acura, though.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more realistic picture. In this regard, Infiniti is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or reliability data, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Well, guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth 7-day review of the all-new 2025 Infiniti QX80. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to join in and be a part of our family, we have a lot of fun on this channel, you're also going to help us get opportunities like this where we can spend an entire week with this flagship SUV and provide you our real-world impressions. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.